Aleph and Beth and so forth, all the way down to the end where you have the final letters. So this is more of a circular thing, which is actually based on the concept that Aleph, and this kind of links it to a lot of the mythology, is that it obviously means ox, as we know, and in Egypt, the North Star was a cow's leg, right? A calf's leg. If you know about that, how they portrayed things. So if you look at the Temple of Dendera or Dendera, however you wind up saying that, the North Star and Polaris, which was not fully the North Star during the time of High Egypt, but they represented that constellation as a calf's leg. So we call it, the Big and Little Dipper up there, and we have Polaris inside that. So Aleph is essentially the Big Dipper in all of its aspects throughout the day. So it makes this swastika figure. So that kind of linked me into looking at Tau as the winter solstice version of Polaris, because if you look at Tau, the flag part of it would represent the big Polaris, essentially with the six o'clock position, which would essentially be, with the winter solstice position, or so. That's essentially what we're essentially dealing with, and if Tau is spinning around, it's in these positions, essentially like the swastika, like Aleph. So they should have connected in my book in the first place. So on this tree, they're connected, and the paths go both ways. So like you brought up the lightning bolt, the traditional lightning bolt from the top to the bottom, creating this way or this direction. In my conception of things, it goes both ways. So that's just a few of the differences philosophically that lead to sort of a different conception of how magic would be worked in that system, and that are embedded into the principles of the tarot and the imagery used in the tarot system.
Yeah, this is absolutely fascinating, man. I guess at this point, I just want to ask you what you want to tell, I guess, the people that are going to be watching this, what you about this at this point already have and feel that they should walk away knowing.
Just that things are moving forward, and magic and this stuff that we're calling magic, people are still taking it seriously, and it's not just the stuff at the Barnes and Noble and the books that are 50 years old, and or the rehash books that are coming out every couple years, the same beginner books. There's actually it's moving forward. People are trying to move it forward, and whether it's the stuff that I'm doing or somebody else is doing, there's a lot of serious people that are actually taking it extremely seriously. A lot more serious than you'll find in the general bookstores. Some bookstores have a lot of cool stuff, and the commercial bookstores generally probably won't any more than it's all the same cool stuff. It's the same requisite material. As far as new material, it's going to be blending science. It's going to be investigating your own, finding a niche, investigating some aspect of science, getting you're rolling up your sleeves and doing a lot of research, and not just reading the same old books like 50 or 60 times, but really get involved.
Yeah, that's great, because I think that a lot of people don't come into magic thinking that they're going to be able to read a book and then throw fireballs, from their hands, and wild, fascinating things. And they don't realize that the way you and I view magic is it's a lifestyle. I mean, you can't, one component go and manipulating other things in your life, yourself up for complete success and self-improvement. I mean, that's do magic as a lifestyle, not just something you do for a few hours here and there.
Yeah, exactly. I agree 100%. That's the take-home point, and that's essentially the thing that makes people think that people are taking it really seriously when it becomes a lifestyle, and it just doesn't become kind of a thing where you buy books that you don't read or so forth.
Sure. I guess I also wanted to address one more thing with you. This system in no way, shape, or form is designed to compete or on any level with any other current magical lodge that happens to be in operation. Now, for example, you didn't create the system to, like, say, compete with the OTO, for example. Did you?
No, I don't think I can because I don't have the same resources to begin with. But I mean, it's not that kind of thing. This is not a traditional kind of dogma. I'm trying to just really fuse it with whatever scientific. So I mean, whatever religion you are, and the OTO in my book is sort of like a religion anyway. So it's not really a magical system, so to speak. And they'll be the first ones to tell you that it's more of a brotherhood sort of, it's more of a social religion or a social magical system than it is any individual system. That's all going to be some kind of personal thing that they're going to tell you that you have to do on your own anyway. So as far as dogma goes, they really don't care if you're a Buddhist or a Christian or whatnot. You know what I mean? So it's the same system. I look at it the same way. I mean, you could be in the religion of the OTO, or you could be a Christian or a Buddhist or a Jew or whatever. If you're into science and you're into magic and you're into using ritual magic to discipline yourself and using cutting edge science to try to package it all and make it somehow practical, then that's my audience at this point. That's the people I'm trying to connect with.
Yeah, I see. The reason I had brought it up was because I had heard a few, well, I didn't hear them. I mean, I had received a few messages asking me specifically if anything we were doing as you, myself, and Richard, the crew here at MSI, were trying in any way, shape, or form to compete with the OTO and try to pull people from there. And I just wanted to make it clear that this is just completely absurd.
Yeah, no.
Yes, you.
No, people that are into that, and if they wind up being into this, I don't think anybody should have a problem with that, and I certainly don't.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I guess what I want to do now is just shift gears a little bit and kind of bring things forward away from the magical system and to discuss, I guess, a little bit more of current events, and from there, that'll pretty much do it. What I wanted to pretty much bring up is what you think about, on a psychological level, people can do today to, I guess, reprogram themselves, and besides turning off the TV, how can they go about reprogramming themselves and to, I guess, set up themselves to be in a defensive mode against the onslaught of propaganda and advertising and the symbolism that they're assailed with on a daily basis that have a very sublime effect on their psyche? What can people do, I guess, to better prepare themselves and to defend themselves against this?
I think the first thing and the most practical thing is to get your diet straight.
Okay.
On a very practical level, first of all, and get your system moving in the right direction, and drink clean water. So I mean, everybody is all over the country has different water, obviously. So I mean, make sure that your water is clean and you're eating good food. And then from that point, you can start to really think about not spending a lot of time thinking about pop culture, first of all, and learning how symbols work and learning what a symbol is, which you really only do in the first place by learning how to make your own symbols. So I mean, they're the most practical things, I would say, to fight the entire, which basically everything at this point is propaganda. It's hard to actually, like, if I think about something, if I want to think of a piece of not propaganda media, I actually probably have to sit here for a little while and actually try to come up with an example. So I'm not really sure I could think of one.
Right.
So it's kind of impossible to escape it at this point. It's just important to understand how symbolism works, how language is being used, how definitions are being changed, and how personal liberty is the most important thing that's at stake here. And then, as far as magic goes, and we're talking free will, our personal liberty is really the only thing that's important. Everything else can go to the wolves, but our personal liberty has got to stay intact, mentally and physically. So those are the things I think that, as far as the ideas to keep ourselves straight in this sort of environment, so that we can actually concentrate on these kinds of things. Just keep personal liberty something that you're willing to make a goal in your path, and make sure that you have a good diet and you understand how the manipulations of symbolism and language and all these things are constantly working against you getting to your goal.